Hey, good evening, everybody. I want to throw some kudos out to this gentleman. This gentleman showed up to our Presenters Academy yesterday in the city of Glendora. And I'm not going to take any kind of credit or anything like that because it was all him. But, he went ahead and conducted his very first presentation today in front of 25 teachers. And believe it or not, he was able to go ahead and schedule 25 appointments with, meaning every single teacher present made an appointment, which is simply incredible. And so we talked about this at the meeting yesterday, where I was telling everybody, you got to know your numbers. If out of, let's just say, 25 people, you get 20, we were saying 60% would be a pretty good number. And in this example, that would be around 10. And then we did the numbers out of 10, maybe five keep the appointment. And then out of five, four, buy. And depending on your level of skills, meaning whether you're an IUL person or a 403B person, or hopefully both, then we ended up with something like $17,000 or whatever the number was that everybody gave me in regards to it. But this guy presented to 25 people. Every single one of them made an appointment. Not too bad for his very first presentation ever. So kudos, congratulations to him. Very proud of him. So let's get into it. And what I wanted to go over with you guys, I'm going to have to use something from the police side, which is the same thing. It's absolutely no different from working with the teachers, of course. But I've asked you this a million times, and I'm going to keep asking this every time I get in front of you. And that is the following. Let me go ahead and clear all this up because I got a lot of stuff going on right now. And so the question I want, hopefully you can unmute yourselves to answer this question. But in a nutshell, what is it that you do when it comes to dealing with teachers? I mean, we are off to the races. Incredible start, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, someone's going to meet with a teacher. Probably going to be, hopefully it's you when you actually try to close a teacher. And how you feel about what you do is probably the most important element behind how well you're going to actually do. Everybody wants to make money. And I can tell you right now that you got to be very careful what you ask for because you just might get it. And a lot of people want preset appointments. And then here you go. Here's 5 preset appointments. And sometimes people close none. And it's not because there's no need for what we do. It's not because it wasn't a compelling presentation. It's because ultimately the closer does not close. And so the question that I ask you is when you sit down with the teacher, what would you say is the essence of what you're going to be able to do for them when you do meet with them? We can figure out how you do it later, but we need to know, what are you going to do with them? What's your goal? Anybody? Steven, can you hear me still? Because this thing is frozen.
Yeah, no, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, no, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't know why it's frozen. I can't see. People got here late. They should have been here late. See, let's see. It's not letting me do this. All right. I don't know what's going on with this thing. To be, I'm not. I can't let them in because I literally. This is not letting me move this for whatever reason. Anyway, so you're here. That's all that matters, right? And so the question that I have again for you guys is, what do you do? So I'm going to go down from left to right. I don't know who is this person up here, but there's somebody. Just everybody. Just here.
Yeah, I just want to understand what matters most to them. What is it? What is it that's keeping them up?
Before that, let's just say even before what matters, because you're right. That's ultimately what we have to do. You going in there, knowing what you do know about them, and sometimes we know nothing about them, but then there's also a lot of things we do know about them. They're teachers, blah blah blah, whatever. What is it? So I'll give you an example. If I was to be a life, let's just say a real estate agent or a mortgage. Well, my goal is to go in there as a loan officer is to get them the best possible rate that's going to equal the lowest possible payment for the most house they can afford. That would be my tagline in mission as in regards to that. That's what I'm saying. If you were to ask me, what are you going to do, Javier, as a realtor? Well, it depends on what they want to. Well, that's true. I got to find out what they want to do. But in a nutshell, my goal as a real estate agent is to help as many people go from renting to purchasing, because when they purchase a home, they're buying into the American dream. They're going to be able to stabilize their housing costs by going with the fixed payment. Also, they're going to tap into this thing called depreciation, whereas the cost of living goes up, home value goes up, and all this other stuff. So does their net worth. And so I hope I'm not too confusing you too much, but maybe you haven't even thought about it, but what is it? What is it? You're not necessarily a tagline, but what is the essence of what you can do for somebody? Why would somebody want to meet with you? Anybody?
Show them how they can increase what they will earn at retirement.
Okay. And I'll stop right there. but that's the only answer that I would like to hear, because that's the best answer. If you're going to make any assumption about anybody, is that I'm not going to assume that they're healthy. I'm not going to assume that they're fat, they're overweight, they're underweight. I'm going to assume one thing, that whatever they think they have coming, they wouldn't mind increasing that by any amount. And so we do this very well, and I don't know why this is frozen. Can you see, Steven, can you see the PowerPoint on Bulletproof or not? Because it was working fine. And so in a nutshell, what you need to learn to do is know that when you go in there, this is what a meeting with a teacher or a police officer or anybody, this is how simple it can be. If I was to just simply ask you, Mr. or Mrs. Teacher, Mr. or Mrs. Principal, a simple question, and the question is, when you retire, as you know, you're going to get a certain percentage of your income in the form of a pension that's going to be with you for the rest of your life, right? Right. So I have two questions for you, and that's it. Question number one, what do you think you're going to receive based on your years of service by the time you do retire? What do you think you're going to receive percentage-wise upon retiring? And I'm going to ask, let's just say, Julio, Mr. Teacher, Teacher Julio, what do you think you're going to receive by the time you retire based on the years of service at the time?
70%.
Some people, amazing how many say, I have no clue. So we need to meet. That is your cue to pounce on them. When they say, you know what, I have no clue. If you remember, Teacher Julio, during the presentation by Jane and her payoff factor, most teachers don't know what it is. That's why what I told not Julio, but what I told Sergio and what I told Reggie that auditioned yesterday, what I told them was, look, listen, back up to the slide about Jane, because you did something you don't ever want to do as a presenter. You jumped over the 1.76 or 1.76 payoff factor for her. That's your cue to simply say, here we have Jane. She's 29 years old. She wants to retire when she's 60. That will give her 29 years of service. Jane's payoff factor directly from CalSTRS is 1.76%. Now, if anybody is sitting in this room and you don't know your payoff factor, we need to meet ASAP. You need to know right now while you're still working what your payoff factor is so that you can calculate your pension. Does that make sense? I'm asking the audience. I'm controlling the audience because I need them to say yes. I want them to say yes. And so instead of just saying, here we have Jane, 29 years of service. She's had 1.76% her payoff factor. Multiply this times that's 56%. That means nothing to the audience, or at least it doesn't mean as much as when you say, here we have Jane. She's 29 years old, wants to retire at age 60. That will give her 29 years of service. Now, Jane's payoff factor per CalSTRS is 1.76%. Now, let me stop there for a second. If there is anybody in this room that does not know what their payoff factor is, let me tell you something, you're asking for trouble. You're going to have a very rude wake-up call. When we get together with you, we will show you what your payoff factor is directly from CalSTRS so that you can at least properly plan and know what you have coming. Does that make sense? I'm closing him on the appointment right there. Right there. Everybody loves to skip past the most important element of the presentation. So, back to my presentation. Okay, Teacher Julio, when you retire, have you given any thought based on the years of service that you're going to have by the time you do retire? What percentage do you think you're going to walk out of here with, sir?
70%.
70%. That's question number one. Question number two. Teacher Julio, if they gave you a choice of picking your own pension amount, what would your number be instead of 70%? What would it be?
Minimum 100%.
Now, what if I could show you a way that you can actually make it to like 105%? Would that
That would be amazing.
Now, understand, I'm talking to Teacher Julio, but I'm really directing it at everybody around me. I don't care if I'm in an office, in a principal's room, in the hallway. People, this is sexy stuff. You understand? What you're doing right there, you're selling the sizzle, not the steak. Too many times people start getting too technical. Nobody gives a crap about how much you know. Nobody wants to be impressed by you. We are all greedy. I want to know when I hear that, I'm thinking, well, hell, if this guy can somehow get to 100, I want to get to 100. Because even if he would have said, instead of 70, let me ask you a question. You're going to retire today, teacher Julio. You're going to get 70%. I kind of like you, so tell you what, would you take 75%? I'm filling out your box right now. Do you want me to throw in 75% for you? Every single person would say yes. Every single person. And here's the best part. You don't ever have to, because there's no wrong answer. So he just told me 100%. Now, that's beautiful because he's probably thinking, yeah, I'm smart, or I'm a smart ass. I'm going to go for 100%. Guess what? The more he tells me, the more he has to pay into it. So he's setting himself up for that number. So even if they tell you, well, it says this, most teachers say, well, instead of 70, maybe if I could get to 80, perfect. I can show. Now, what if I was to tell you, I can show you in this example, let's just say talking to teacher Julio, okay, done. 80%. When you meet with me, I'm going to show you how when you retire, you're going to get to 80%. Now, let's fast forward to the meeting. And he's like, all right, I want you to tell me how the hell I'm going to get 80%. How do we do that? How do we come up with 80%? Let's just say that magic number that just randomly came up, 80%. How do I show them how to do that? Anybody? Anybody? Okay.
Years of service, and then
Here's the fun part. This is where the human psychology and influencing people in sales. I was talking to two people this week, and one of the challenges, or some of the challenges that we're having, which I acknowledge they were right, their closing ratio sucked. And when I told them, look, listen, let me tell you something. I'm the teacher, and we went through the whole routine. And I encourage all of you to sit down with me, even if it's via Zoom. And if you're a big boy, and if you're a big girl, and you can take, I'm not going to criticize you. I'm just simply going to point to you that you're very strong here, but this needs a lot of work. I'm not compelled. You're not compelling me, just so you know, because there's not enough meat on the bone for me to do what exactly you want me to do. And so what I'm saying is this. Okay, let me show you this. That's why I'm so upset that this thing is not working, because I was going to show you the PowerPoint from the police department. And on the police department, it has literally 2 questions, which is part of the new version of the school presentation, by the way. We're making it shorter. We want to keep it shorter and simpler. If you were to ask me, okay, Javier, you got 5 minutes to do this presentation in front of teachers, I'm like, well, shit, man, you told me it was 10. I know, but we've got state mandated, news we have to update them on. Perfect. Good evening, everybody. My name is Javier Rodriguez with National Life Group, one of the district-approved 403B vendors. It's an honor to be here today with you, because we really are in a crusade that we believe there's a tremendous injustice taking place in this country, where teachers like yourselves have never worked longer, harder, under more difficult circumstances, especially when you got things like pension reforms killing you guys. And you've never had less to show for it than today. Your pension is less today than it was just 10 years ago. And we believe that's wrong. And so what we do in a nutshell, because I got 5 minutes, I lost 1 minute already, is this. We show teachers how to retire with more money in their pocket by the time they hit retirement, that lets them retire with dignity and on their terms. I've got 2 questions for you because I got 3 minutes left. Question number 1. Do you know how much you're going to receive when you retire percentage-wise, pension amount-wise? Most teachers have no clue. But I'll still ask you, sir, what's your name? Your name tag says Teacher Julio. What do you think you're going to receive when you retire?
70%.
How much?
70%.
70%, which is average. You're pretty good. You've done your homework. I understand that. Okay. If anybody here, by the way, is sitting in this room does not know exactly what their payoff factor per CalSTRS is, we're going to show you when we meet with you. So make sure you make an appointment. Now, second question for you that I have for you, Mr. Julio, and that is this. If CalSTRS all of a sudden gave you the choice of choosing a percentage you want to retire on, what would it be instead?
At least 80%.
80%. When we get together with you, I'm going to show you how you can hit that number. And you can hit that number usually by just simply not spending $1 more than you probably already spent. Do you believe that? And these are concepts that most teachers have no clue exist. Yet, look, the district, they do make them available to you. You just have to know where to find it. My time is up. Listen to me. If you want to retire with more than what CalSTRS is intending on giving you, make an appointment right now. And I'm going to show you how to get to 80, 90, or better yet, 100%. 100% versus the 70%. Which one's better? Well, of course, 100. So when I sit with Julio, I'm going to say, look, Julio, let me show you a couple of things of how we're going to increase your take-home pay. First of all, you're right. You're going to get 70%. I did the math, and here it is. Your payout factor 1.760 equals 70%. Now, if you want to go ahead and receive more than 70%, your real only option, Julio, is to work more years. Now, if you're already at 30 and you want to get to 35 years, those are dog years, okay? Those last 5 years are going to be very painful. So my goal is, Julio, what if I could show you how instead of 30, you can get the same 70% at 25 and get 5 more years of your life? And you can get out of here 5 years sooner. Would that interest you?
Of course, I can't do one more minute here.
Well, guess what? I'm going to show you how to do that. And so as you can see here, you're scheduled to get 70%. When you retire immediately, you no longer pay into CalSTRS. Did you know that? You're not required to pay to CalSTRS. So the money you pay to CalSTRS stays in your pocket. Now, let me ask you a question, Julio. How much of your paycheck does CalSTRS take? Do you know what your contribution is per CalSTRS, I'm sorry?
No.
You got to know that. Do you have, if you have access to my recommendation, let's pick out your last paycheck's pay stub, and I'll show you. Anybody here know? You guys are all working in the school, so I know every single one of you knows. Don't tell me you're working at school and working with teachers and you don't know what a CalSTRS contribution, mandatory, compulsory is what it's called. What is it?
6-7%.
This is not going to be a piñata session where high, low, up, down, 12, 25, 1. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. If you do know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. And guessing ain't going to cut it, is what I'm saying.
12%. It's 12% right now.
All right, hold on. I don't know why this is acting up. I don't know if it's on your end, on mine. It's not working. But the state mandated one, and there are variations for LAUSD and other things between 10 and 12%. They have to pay that. I recommend sticking to 10% because what you don't want to do is say 12 and they show you no, because I got hired before this date. Mine says technically 10.9. You don't want to go that route. Always be the one that underestimates everything. So a nice round number is 10%. So if I'm talking to Mr. Brian and I'm saying, look, listen, when you retire, you no longer are required to pay into it. We just found you 10% more right there. Now, the next thing is that I see that you are already saving into a 403B. First of all, I commend you for that. However, 403B money, just like your pension, is fully taxable. But unlike your pension, 403Bs, you can burn through it really quickly. And it can be out, like most teachers, in a few years. Your pension is for life, a 403B is not. Here's what I recommend. Based on your age, based on the fact that you want to get here earlier, and based on the fact that you would like to get more money, let's see what would happen if we just simply redirect future contributions. You're already putting $300 a month. You're already doing that. Now, let me ask you something, Mr. Diaz. You've been saving $300 a month into your 403B for how long now? How many years?
20 years.
All right, by 20 years. Has the cost of living gone up in 20 years?
Of course, yes.
So you're overdue for a pay raise for yourself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's very important for you to consider maybe $400 a month, at least 400 more, 400, I should say, for no other reason that LAUSD teachers just got a pay raise this year again. It kicked in this summer while you were at home. So now, for most teachers, not you, of course, but for most teachers, if they don't do something positive with that extra money that comes in every month, what do you think most will do?
Spend it.
Blow it is the right word. Blow it.
Yeah.
Why not use that for the district to subsidize you getting out of here 5 years sooner? And so let me show you this real quick. Right? $400 a month will generate $20,000 a year of income, tax-free until you die. Now, if we take 20,000, you're going to probably make 100,000 by the time you retire. That's 20% more. And so now we took you from 70 to 80 to 100%. All by redirecting money you were already spending and adjusting it a little bit from inflation. My recommendation, if you already put $300 a month, you should be at $400, but the district gave you $500 in pay raise, just put the $500 because it's only going to take you from 100% to 102% for the rest of your life. And it's income tax free. And you still have your 403B money. We haven't done anything with it. I have a recommendation right now. That 403B money you have is in a variable product. It goes up and down. You know what the market did this past Monday, Mr. Julio?
Yes, it
The stock
was horrible.
in the financial world, we call it taking a dump. Okay, it took a dump, 1,000 points, trillions of dollars evaporated. Thankfully, about 60% of it has come back already. But think about it. Why get happy over getting something back you already had? But we'll talk about that at a later time. I'm not here to talk about that. So there are ways to improve that. If you remember during the presentation, Mr. Hatter was talking about how there's the concept of indexing. You go up when the market goes up, but when the market goes down, you never lose a penny. There's a lot of teachers that the last 3 years, they can't sleep because they know that if that stock market does that same thing all over again, there goes their retirement. Instead of getting out 5 years sooner, you're going to be spending another extra 5 years. And that's no good. We want to get you out of here as quickly as possible, right? And that's what it is. So the question for you really is, do you really want to have something that takes you from 70 to 100%? Do you want to take forever taxable money and replace it with forever tax-free money? You want income that's going to last for God knows how many years? Or do you want income that's going to parallel your pension, that's going to stay with you for the rest of your life? And then when you're done using that money because you died, you leave it to whoever you love the most, and you can leave the bulk of it income tax-free. Now, I don't want to overpromise you anything, because this is something that you do have to qualify for. And every week we have to tell a teacher somewhere, I'm sorry, Mr. So-and-so, you didn't get approved. But we have other options, including Roth products, but we want to go for the best possible option for you. And this is exactly what teachers are using today to retire on their terms and stay retired, while most teachers do not even know this exists. And remember, we're fully approved for the district, fully approved 403B advisors with LAUSD, managing billions of dollars in 403B money. So this is nothing new for us. So with your permission, I don't want to overpromise anything. Here's my recommendation. Let's submit the application first. And if you don't get approved, then we'll go for second best. But if you do get approved, get ready to start planning your retirement a little bit sooner than you are right now. Is that okay with you?
Of course, let's get started.
Anyway, no questions? All right, I'm going to take the application, but I'm going to ask you to please keep your fingers crossed, because in about 3 to 4 days, we're going to have an answer. And if the answer is yes, you're set. But I'm not overpromising anything yet. Fair enough?
Fair. Sounds good.
Okay. All I need is just your driver's license to get started, and we'll take it from there. Thank you. Shut up. Start typing or start writing, and we're done. And so leverage the power of the CalSTRS contribution, staying with them. That's going to make your life easier, because you can show them just because they've met with you. They know about it. They would not have known about it until it happens. And then when it happens, most teachers don't even realize that happened as well. That's true with CalSTRS. That's true with PERS. That's true with LA Police Pension Fund, with the county, the LaSera people as well. That's a little secret that will make you a hero in their eyes, at the least because you made them aware of it. Does that make sense? And you could do that as well. Any questions from anybody about anything? I don't have a lot. I wanted to just share that little negative information with you, and hopefully it helps. Did it make sense at all, guys? I'm just curious if it makes a difference. Maybe you knew it, maybe you didn't, but I just want to make sure it's practical stuff, because we're starting to see clients. I forget, my good God, who was it? Somebody just submitted his first 2 pieces of business today. George just got 2 pieces of business today. I mean, we haven't even started. Our first day is Monday, and business is hitting. That means that by next Tuesday, if not at the latest next Friday, people are getting direct deposit of their commissions already. It's going to be a massive fall. As a matter of fact, things happen for a reason. I'm holding our second to final Presenters Academy tomorrow in LA. And just today, this came in from National Life Group, which is 1 million of these new lanyards, okay? Because they want us to build them an army of presenters and closers and everything in between and openers. And so that's why I want to make sure everybody here understands what's on the line. More money you've ever made in your life. Like I said, why is that important? Well, Sergio proved that out of 25 made an appointment, Now it's going to be up to his skills and those of his closer of how many of those 25 they see, how many they close. I can help you through this type of training, but I can't be there with you all the time. Any questions, comments, concerns from anybody about anything before we wrap it up? Because I don't know what is going on.
Shortening the presentation is good because it allows us to go out and it kind of extemporize on the other stuff, engage with the crowd a little more, the teachers a little more,
Yes.
and get a couple extra minutes doing that instead of just, droning on and on and on.
Yeah, it's all about that. I'm telling you, it's all about making it shorter. It's about if you've been to the police one, the police are pretty much no nonsense type of presentations. It's even shorter than the police one, and it revolves around, look, you're going to be retiring at a certain percentage. My question to you is, would you want to receive more? If the answer is no, you're happy with what CalSTRS is giving you, then you don't need to see us. But if you want to receive more for the rest of your life, you owe it to yourself to make an appointment and to keep it. And that's going to help you close more, make more appointments. It's going to keep more appointments, and it's going to help you close more business as well.
Javier, I like that one a lot because I think it engages the audience a little better instead of looking at a PowerPoint. And it also creates urgency.
We are in the, thank you for bringing up the last part. I didn't want to say it, but I will emphasize it right now that you cannot be the person that's up there saying, it's okay if you meet with us today, tomorrow, next year, next. Listen to me. Listen to me. There's only so many of us, 700 LAUSD sites requesting our help. If you miss this boat, it's going to be a very expensive event you miss when you could have met with us. It's all about the psychology. It's about it being shorter. It's about shorter means less to screw up and more time to be yourself, to come across as genuine. And so bear with me. There's a lot of moving parts, from something as simple as these stupid lanyards to IDs to the technology to everything. Just so you guys know, Monday we launched with the first batch of people that were pre-selected, which includes Rhett for the new, I can't even show it to you, for the new Wizards that comes preloaded with all of the automations for follow-ups, for scheduling appointments in person. All of it is done. A lot of work. I underestimated how much it was going to cost, and we are thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. I was going to even show you my running bill of all the tech people, because we use an online application that it's like a meter, like God damn it, stop it, but they got to do it. They're custom. It does not exist for us. This is all custom designed for us. And so what's his name is going to be the first one, Rhett, and then there's George, then there's Victor, then there's other people coming along. And again, it comes with a 14-day trial, not because we want to give you a 14-day trial, but because it's going to give us 14 days to get your account up and running, customized to you. And then if you do other stuff, you can even program it to do what you need it to do for your other side as well. It's gonna no more spending money on Calendly, no more spending money on Zapier. Like I pay just thousands of dollars in crap every single month. This does it all. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you go. If no one has anything else, by all means.
I want to say something real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think that the reason I was so successful at my school and I'm humbled with the results that I received, but I also know that I work under urgency, and I also know that I speak under urgency. And what I did for my school before I went to Percent is a very simple act of kindness, which was I went and I bought 20 clipboards, and I took them to the school before I even did my presentation. And I gave them to the principal, and when I did my presentation today, she solidified my action. She said, a lot of people come, they say they're going to bring this, and they never follow through. And Mr. Sergio Solis followed through, and I'm very happy to work with him. So I want you guys to pay attention, because he's going to help us retire on our terms. And that's all it took. And then I engaged the teachers. I love your crusade message that we learned when you came over to Glendora. I memorized it. I paraphrased it. I spoke it to them. And that was my introduction. Then I went right into the presentation. And I tell you, they all just came up and hugged me, and they couldn't wait. And my team was there. And my team is encouraged to also memorize the crusade. And that's what, when you said, hey, I don't know what type of results they're going to get, I can tell you one thing, that
Thank you, Sergio. And I will tell you this, I'm the kind of guy that I will not work with somebody who cannot answer me when I ask them, what's our crusade? What are we here to do? Because if you don't believe you're on a crusade, then you're literally on a mission to sell. And there's nothing more common out there than people trying to take people's money. No matter how noble you think you're going to be doing of a thing for them, when you mention the crusade to them, they understand that you have their best interest at heart. And you, most importantly, understand of what they're going through. And I sincerely believe in the crusade. That my name of my team is not Team Life Insurance Agents or Team 43Bs or Team IUL. It's Team Crusaders, because the dictionary says that a crusade is a vigorous and concerted effort to correct an injustice. And when you become a crusader, you're unstoppable, man. I walked, Keith, I think, is here. Keith went ahead and called me and said, hey, I went to the school. I went to open it up. I showed him the flyer, and the principal was like, yeah, sure. And then the secretary jumped up and said, no, hold on. You know what? They did this. Somebody did this already, and they came and promised us sports equipment, and they never came back to drop it off. And so he called me up, and I was like, damn, that's pretty deep. I go, look, listen, ma'am, it's probably with somebody else. There's other agents. No, it was the same flyer. And I was like, really? And she's like, no, it was the same picture, and it was the same energy. And so we looked through our calendar. We looked through everything. We could not find ever having done the present. But I said, you know what? Maybe it's because there are people out there that are copyists, just so you know. And so what I did is I got in the car the next day. I went down to the store. I bought a ton of sports equipment. I showed up to the school. And she's like, who are you? My name is Javier Rodriguez. I spoke to you yesterday about somebody came here and never delivered the sports equipment. And she's like, oh, you brought it? I was like, yeah, because I would not want you to think for a second that we do something like that, because I can tell you it must have been an imposter. I showed her the team calendar, and I searched the calendar for the school name. You see how it says principal, this, teacher, everything. Nowhere is your school here, but tell you what, I would not want you to walk away thinking it was me or my people, because we don't do that. And as soon as I did that, she's like, well, when can you come do the presentation? I was like, no, I'm not asking you for the presentation. I'm not asking. I'm not going to make it. I don't want a presentation. I just don't want you to ever think that when you see one of my people, that's what we do. She's like, you know what? I've never had this happen before. I thank you so much. We need the equipment, blah, 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 whatever. But the point is, I never went back, and I guarantee if I go back right now, I'll get the staff meeting. But the point of it is that there's got to be more to you than just sales and making money and so on. So I thank you. I congratulate Sergio. I congratulate everybody. As you guys know, you are my witness. There's only a few of you here. There's a few in the waiting room. Listen, get here on time, because something might happen like it happened today. And I don't know why it's acting up, but everybody that was here by 7 got in. The people that got here after are out there. There was a change of venue. If anybody knows anybody that's going to be coming, Ian already knows, because I got a hold of him. We had to change the venue from Culver City to downtown LA. We're going to be at a restaurant for the presentation or the class tomorrow. And so there's still room if you want to get anybody to attend. But I just want to say thank you and congratulations to Sergio for a job well done, and to everybody else that's out there doing their part as well. All right. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
The class, you're still having the class on Saturday, correct?
It's a kickoff. It's a combination of everything. Class, everything's going to be Saturday in Hacienda Heights.
And tomorrow is what?
The Presenters Academy, how to present.
Okay. And when was that start?
We just did one yesterday in Glendora, and tomorrow it runs from 9 to 12.
I'm gonna try and make that.
All right, check your emails. I'm going to send an email right now, and then we'll see you there. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, everybody. Okay, and just so you know, there's a parking thing when you go in there, take a ticket, but they're going to validate everybody, so you're not going to pay anything. All right. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great night.